Hello fellas! Welcome back to Top 5 Choices. This is Haley from Top 5 Choices, and I hope you all are doing good. In today's video, I am going to do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best LG phones, 2022. After doing proper researches, we came to the conclusion that meets the best in terms of overall. Kindly leave a like if you find this helpful, and I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications if you haven't. We will be also providing affiliates link to purchase from Amazon. Kindly use it for best offers and purchase from anywhere in the world. We'll be back with more videos. The STYLO 6 is a large phone, as you'd expect a phone with a stylus to be. It offers a 6.8-inch 1080p LCD with a standard 60Hz refresh rate and modest bezels. Its dimensions are similar to the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, also a large phone, except that it's slightly taller. The screen itself is plenty bright and vivid, and the aforementioned stereo speakers make watching videos that bit nicer. The phone overall too big to use comfortably one-handed, and it felt awkward in even large coat pockets. That's beside the point, though. If you're considering the STYLO, then you probably already know you want a large phone, so to each their own. The STYLO 6 offers a MediaTek Helio P35 chipset and 3GB of RAM. Herein lies the STYLO 6's troubles. This processor and RAM combination just doesn't offer enough power for this phone. I noticed stuttering often as I scrolled through media-rich screens on Twitter and Instagram. Ditto the previously mentioned slowness opening and switching between apps, and the camera suffers from laggy processing speeds, too. If there's a bright spot to the phone's processing woes, it's that battery life is great, possibly as a side effect. The STYLO 6 has a 4000 mAh battery, and after a typical day with 2+ hours of screen on time, I was usually down to only 70%. I was sure a day of heavier use with Google Maps navigation, Spotify, and more social media scrolling than usual would challenge it, but nope. I didn't even drain it enough for a low battery warning before plugging it in at night. There's just one configuration offered with 64GB of built-in storage, which isn't great, but it's expandable by way of microSD. It ships with Android 10 and, unfortunately, a lot of preloaded apps and games that you probably don't want. LG isn't known for a generous upgrade schedule, so it's very unlikely the STYLO 6 will see an Android 11 update. The STYLO includes a 13-megapixel main camera, a 5-megapixel ultra-wide, a 5-megapixel depth sensor, and a 13-megapixel selfie camera. That's not a lot of resolution to work with, but it's enough to allow the STYLO to take decent quality images in good light. The LG Velvet has a bigger primary screen than the LG G8X ThinQ. It measures 6.8 inches and has a taller 20.5:9 aspect ratio, which makes the LG Velvet tall but narrow. As a result, holding this smartphone isn't a problem, but reaching the top of the display definitely is. The Velvet is relatively thin, measuring 7.9mm in thickness, and light, tipping the scales at 180G. Its display curves around the sides, reminding me of some Samsung Galaxy S series smartphones. The back is curved at the edges as well. The frame of the device is made of metal and is thin on the sides. The LG Velvet does feel premium overall. The LG Velvet has a big 6.8-inch OLED display with a resolution of 2460 by 1080 pixels. The dual-screen accessory also has the same display specifications, including a notch with no camera. Both panels have 60Hz refresh rates, while the competition now offers 90Hz and 120Hz panels. Powering the Velvet is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 SoC, which is a little surprising now, considering that it's dated and will not perform as well as current-day chips. The LG G8X ThinQ had the more powerful Snapdragon 855 SoC. On the LG Velvet, you get 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, with no variants. There's a hybrid dual SIM tray, which allows storage expansion at the cost of a second SIM. Connectivity options on the LG Velvet include Bluetooth 5.1, dual-band Wi-Fi AC, and dual 4G VoLTE. It also gets stereo speakers, which are a good addition. The LG Velvet runs Android 10 with a few customizations. It got an update to the December Android security patch during this review. The UI is easy to use, and I did not face any issues. You can enable an app drawer or have all the app icons on the home screen. Apart from a few LG and Google apps, the Velvet does have some pre-installed bloatware including Facebook, Instagram, Whale Browser, Booking.com, Asphalt 9, Modern Combat 5, DH5, and Sniper Fury. The phone did not push any spammy notifications during the review. The LG Velvet offers decent performance, but this isn't a very strong point. The dated processor won't affect day-to-day usage. I could go about using apps and multitasking without any noticeable lag. With the dual-screen accessory, multitasking is significantly easier as you can have two apps running side by side without any hiccups. If you are a multitasker, constantly switching between apps throughout the day, the LG Velvet might make life easier for you. The LG G8X ThinQ follows the same design language as its predecessors. This smartphone has a glass sandwich design with a metal frame between the display and the rear glass panel. This smartphone is tall and a little chubby. At the front, it has a 6.4-inch OLED full-vision display with a tiny water drop notch at the top. It has thin bezels on the sides, but the bottom is comparatively thicker. LG has positioned the power button on the right of the device, and it is convenient to reach. On the left side, you'll find the volume buttons as well as a dedicated button for Google Assistant. If you use Google Assistant very frequently, you will find this very handy. We looked around in the Settings app but couldn't find a way to remap the button. The LG G8X ThinQ sport a 3.5mm headphone jack at the bottom along with the primary microphone, the loudspeaker, and a USB Type-C port. At the top, there's only the SIM tray. The LG G8X ThinQ is among the few smartphones to have flush-mounted rear cameras. In a time when most devices have protruding camera modules, LG has managed to give this phone a clean look. The back is made out of glass, but is curved at the sides, which makes it comfortable to hold. However, the smartphone picks up smudges easily and is super slippery. We even noticed it sliding about when placed on a slanting surface. LG ships the smartphone only in Aurora Black. Along with the dual-screen accessory case, you get earphones and a 16W charger bundled in the box. LG has also included a magnetic connector which can be used to charge the smartphone while using the dual-screen case. LG has smartly bundled the dual-screen accessory with the G8X ThinQ. This case itself has two displays. The first is a tiny monochrome one on the outside which lights up for notifications or when you raise the device. It displays the battery level, time, and date along with the icons of apps that have pending notifications. The front display is hard to see when the phone isn't in use, as LG has opted for a mirror finish for the front of the case. This also picks up smudges quite easily. The shiny front panel is slightly off-center to account for the hinge of the case. Open the case up and you will see the second display on the inside. This is also a 6.4-inch OLED display with a water drop notch to match the phone screen. This notch is pointless here as it does not house anything, and it looks like LG has used the exact same panel as the phone's display. The case does not open flat, it's more like having a step between the two displays so they aren't at the same level at any point. You can flip the case lid around completely, and this simply switches off the secondary display. The LG G7's design puts an emphasis on its 6.1-inch LCD screen, which takes up nearly the entire front of the device, save for a notch at the top and a small chin bezel at the bottom. Its clean-looking unibody glass and all-screen aesthetic are a big upgrade over the fractured metal LG G5 look 2 years ago, even if this means you have to forego a replaceable battery. LG calls the top screen space to the left and right of the notch its new second screen. It's not. At least not like it was on the LG V10 and LG V20 second screen, which showed detailed notifications. This is simply where the time, battery life percentage, and small notification icons live. The notch is also LG's way of expanding the screen to a 19.5:9 aspect ratio. There's a smidgen more space to fit all of those status icons. And, hey, if you don't like the controversial notch look, you can always hide it by masking the screen corners. Or, if you really want to highlight this Apple-esque design trait, you can change up the color and even add gradients. The middle notch will always be black, though. You can see the blacked-out LCD sides surrounding the notch, but only with a discriminating eye in certain light. However, after several months of using the LG G7, we grew to accept the notch, and we now hardly notice it. The LCD also carries an always-on display, despite the fact that this is more of an OLED benefiting technology. Why LCD? LG likes to boast that its entire display can get very bright, maxing out at 1000 nits. This makes it ideal for outdoor use when a normal smartphone peaks at 500 or maybe 600 nits. LG calls this its super bright display and says it's 30% more energy efficient in this mode versus the LG G6 screen. The LG V60 is a confident step beyond the conservative black rectangle designs of its predecessors and into more stylish territory. By itself, the phone has looks we'd expect on a Samsung flagship, including a pearl-hued glass back, goldish trim around the camera bump, and burnished aluminum sides. It's not quite surpassing other top-tier phones in looks, with thicker bezels than you'll see in the Samsung Galaxy S20 line, and a teardrop notch where those phones have a small punch hole for the front-facing camera, but the phone certainly looks more impressive than previous LG flagships. It's still a bit thicker than other phones. Its 8.8mm thickness is a bit more than the Samsung Galaxy S20 plus 7.8mm, but the glass back curves gradually into the sides, giving more grip than phones with more abrupt rear-to-side curvature. The phone loads most of its buttons on the left side, including volume up and down buttons and a Google Assistant button, with the lock button on the right side. The SIM and microSD slot is at the top, while a USB-C slot sits in the center of the bottom, flanked by a speaker and, yes, a 3.5mm headphone jack. The LG V60's standout feature is the dual screen, which functions much like the identically named peripherals that come with the LG V50 ThinQ and LG G8X ThinQ. The dual screen works like a firm folio case, opening up to reveal a second display with the exact same dimensions as the V60's screen. Plug the phone into the dual screen's USB-C plug and snap it into place, and voila, you have twice the screen real estate. To turn on the dual screen's display, you tap the small white dual arrow icon. By default this is on the right side of the display. To expand a small menu with options to swap screens or to put the main screen to sleep, if, say, you wanted to watch media on the second display and dim the first to save battery.